Hello, and welcome to Phoenix Rising Wisdom of the Heart. I'm your host, Teresa. The wisdom of the heart can be seen as either being a beautiful, multifaceted gem or as in your face as Kilauea erupting. This is the wisdom of the heart, and I use my wisdom in my heart to reach out to others who may be dealing with the same problems so that we can build understanding and a bridge to healing. This episode of Phoenix Rising Wisdom of the Heart is dedicated to those whose voices have long crossed the horizon long before mine. Their earthly names are lost to history, but here in this space, their soul names ring true. Big Sister, the Prayer Warrior, Big Brother, Crazy Old Coot, the Dragon Lady, and so many others whose memories live on. This space, grief will never overcome the flame of love. It will always be here. We will always hear their laughter, their voices in this sacred space. Which leads me to tonight's subject, which is grief. Grief can be very hard to deal with. Usually where grief is, there is also shock and loss. I'd like to tell you a bit of a story. It concerns two separate individuals. Recently, I lost a family member that I have not seen in 2 years because I could no longer watch her deteriorate. Other family members and myself had been trying to get her to fight to get back into some semblance of what we called normalcy. That didn't work. When I was told of this person's death, I was standing up. It dropped me straight to my knees. I started self-doubt. It was like, why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that? Why didn't I do the other? I fucking beat myself up. Plain and simple. With that being said, I will also say that there is no way with 100% certainty I could even guarantee that anything I said or could have or would have or should have done would have made damn bit of difference in the end. In either of the two cases, it didn't, because this was stuff out of my control. So what do you do if you're grieving? How do you grieve? Do you isolate yourself? Or do you turn to your circle of those that have known you for years and know how to help you? I have had to seek professional help at times when it comes to dealing with the loss of a loved one. I'm not ashamed to admit that. Other times, I've tended to isolate. Both approaches can be a bit difficult to deal with. If you are in this situation and need help, reach out and get it. Don't try to do it on your own. Going back to my family member's story, I'm having to learn how to give myself a lot of fucking grace and self-compassion. Why? Because if you are like I am and am learning to change, we tend to blame ourselves for every little thing that goes wrong, even if we hadn't had anything to do with it. And that's a tough pill to swallow. Even when you're prepared, when the transition comes, you're not. When someone you love breathes their last breath, and you're watching it, you're not prepared. You never are prepared. And grief, there's no timetable for grief. I have unfortunately heard some members of my family tell another family member, well, you need to get over it. No. Grief does not have any timetable to heal. Case in point, my mother will be gone 20 years next year. My father, he'll be gone 4 in December. And then I have the recent deaths within the last 8 months. So some of the wounds are still very fresh. My mother's are not quite as fresh. And it is said that time heals all wounds. Not necessarily. It takes the pain and sting away from it, but you still deal with it. Bear in mind that somebody that is grieving may say and do and act in ways that they wouldn't normally. That, unfortunately, is just one of the parts of grieving. If this happens to you, please understand that they're not in their right mind. Case in point, with my mother, someone accused me of murdering her. I knew she didn't mean what she said, deep down in my soul, but still tore me to pieces. And then other times, it's like in another situation, a long time ago, I wound up trying to commit suicide. I wasn't conscientiously thinking of doing that. All I wanted to do was sleep because the pain was just so bad. It was just horrible. And all I wanted to do was sleep. Conscientiously, again, as I said, I wasn't trying to commit suicide. Subconsciously, that's a different story. I woke up 2 weeks later, grateful that I hadn't caused another problem. And I made a promise that I would not ever do that again. Grief can be really insidious. I mean, you can be fine for days, weeks, months at a time, and then a scent, a picture, a movie, a song, then you're right back again where you started. So what do you do when you got somebody that's grieving? First of all, active listening, shut mouth. Unless they ask you for advice, keep your mouth shut. They want to be heard and seen and understood. Not to be told, get over it, or anything else. That's just absolutely the wrong damn thing to do. And when we're talking about transition, it's not always the death of a loved one, a family member, a friend. It could be the loss of a job. It could be the loss of income. It could be the loss of a home. It could be anything that could cause grief and loss. Always know that you are loved and appreciated, even if you're not acting like yourself. Because we need to know that we're loved too. Am I still grieving deaths? Oh, yes. Very damn much so. I dealt with something this morning that happened nearly 20 years ago. And it ripped my heart to shreds because I hadn't had time to grieve it. Another thing when it comes to grief is you're going to have to practice a lot of self-forgiveness, forgiveness of the situation, forgiveness of the party that's departed. Why? Because that is going to help you heal. Because you could be dealing with survivor's guilt, and it's like, I coulda, shoulda, woulda. As I've said previously, and I'll say again, there's no way of knowing. What I'm finding out in my own experiences is that I have to give myself a lot more self-love, self-compassion, and grace. Remember this also. Forgiveness isn't for the other person. It's for you. to heal. Sometimes you're going to have to forgive people that hurt you. It's not for them. It's for you to be able to stop the hurt and heal. I can't say that enough. I'm having to learn this because I started in the self-doubt, beating the hell out of myself mentally. And all that did was just, it didn't change the situation. It did not heal the situation. It just made it worse. I'm having to remind myself, look, I forgive the entire situation. I forgive what I didn't do. I forgive what I could have done. I forgive what I should have done. And I forgive the other person, especially if there was words or something before the person left this place. It's never easy to deal with, to watch somebody go through grieving or go through the grief yourself. It's sometimes a lightning bolt of so many different things that you don't know if your ass is up or your head's up. And that could be multiple times a day. Turn to those that you trust. Get help if you need it. Because you're just as precious as the person that's crossed. You are worth the world. And you're hurting. You need to know that somebody understands what you're going through. That's the biggest thing, is understanding, comprehension, and compassion. I'm having to remind myself that I am loved and accepted exactly as I am. There is a little mirror exercise that has been taught by Louise Hay. You look in a mirror, you say your full name. I love and accept you exactly as you are. There's a couple times I did that. Yeah, nope. I couldn't do it. But I got to where I can. I got to where I could. Now, why is grief so hard to deal with? It's because a lot of times it's the fact that we are left behind. But what we don't understand is they go from one life to a next. Our grief is because we're left behind or because of unfinished business. It's not easy to deal with. I keep repeating that. Think about how they would want you to live. Do things for yourself, such as a hobby. Give yourself permission to do that. Give yourself permission to grieve. That's just been my story. I'd like to know what your story is. As I bring Phoenix Rising Wisdom of the Heart to a close, I want to remind my viewers and listeners that you are loved, you are cared for, you are precious, and we'll see you next week.